Hey everyone, this is Kai from WCC, and today we're going to take a look at Nova Grapplers. We're going to see how to build it from nothing to something, but interestingly enough, Nova Grapplers is one of the easiest ones to build. Pretty much the deck just builds by itself, and the both two builds that I'm going to show you today, the Perfect Riser build and the Blau build, are just pretty easy to build. Like, the only requirements are just 4 triple Rs for Perfect Riser, and I think what Blau's, there's not really any specific triple Rs you need, so very, very budget there. But let's take a look at the Perfect Riser first. You might have seen I posted a Perfect Riser before. This is kind of the more updated version. You can see that I'm still missing like 2 Asura Kaiser. I have 2 at the moment. I want to run 4. That's basically the one thing I'd change, and I'll probably just take out my Cosmo Lords for that, because for some reason I just got a whole bunch of Cosmo Lords, and I'm just decided to put it into Flex. But otherwise, let's just look at the build. As you can see, Perfect Riser kind of just builds itself. The main requirements you need are just risers. You see in the common slot, we've got a lot of risers here. We've got the Burst Riser, we've got the Riser Custom. Generally, you want to run 7 or 8. You can kind of flex yourself a bit and just like run 7 and put more cards that you want. And you only have like 1 flex slot here, because the other 4 is taken up by null. So grade 1 for this is, for grade 1 for actually both decks that we're going to show today are very, very limited what you can put in. Then at grade 2 is kind of the similar idea. You're running risers and more risers. The harder one to get here is the high-powered Riser Custom, because it's a double R, but you definitely need it. So if you don't have it, just craft or try and crack that. Might be a bit tough. But yeah, 8 slots filled by Riser, you have 5 flex slots. Basically, just put in whatever. I've put in Carraras here, just because I want to be able to draw more cards and hopefully draw into my nulls. And there's 2 Brutal Jacks here, because 11k is a great number at grade 2, stops a lot of attacks. But if you don't have them, you don't need them. That's the beauty of the deck. And then the main requirement here is the 4 Perfect Risers, and the rest can kind of just be whatever grade 3s you want. Asura Kaiser, of course, yes, is the most optimal alternate ride that you want. But, if you don't have it, you can run things like, Gold Rutile for budget, Mr. Invincible and all that, and that's fine. So we'll have a spreadsheet at the end that kind of tells you what to fill in and what the filler slots are. Now, interesting enough, if you didn't pull Perfect Rise now, don't worry. It's gonna be a reward soon. So if you don't get it now, you can get it as a reward, and bam, you've got a pretty strong deck for just grinding legend ranks. And Asura Kaiser, I think that comes in a tournament reward as well. So if you don't have that, that also has the possibility to come in later on that you can just get as well. But overall, this deck kind of builds itself, and is also pretty easy. Now on the weekend, there was a big tournament. It was the Vision Clash of Kings tournament, and one of our pals, Hongwai, did very well in it. And if you look at his decks that he brought to the tournament, it was a 2-deck format where you had to win with both decks. He brought actually Blau Kruger and Imperial Daughter, and both his decks are very, very budget. If you look at it, we'll have it on screen right now. It looks like both decks don't require a lot of triple Rs at all. Like for OTT, he only has CO Amaterasu, and that is grindable via legend ranks. It's going to end in a couple of days, but that is a grindable triple R. And for the Blau Kruger deck, he only has Asura Kaisers, which again, you don't exactly need. It's good to have, but if you don't have it, you can still build the deck. So both decks are pretty budget, and it just kind of like comes to show that you can take these decks to the tournament, you can do well with them, and just with some skill and luck, you can do well with them. So you don't really need to just shell out a whole bunch of money on cards. Now, I've actually built the Blau Kruger deck here, so it's easier to see. As you can see, I'm missing some cards, but hopefully that's fine. I think I'm missing a Stern Blau Kruger and 2 Asura Kaisers, but yeah, here is pretty much the Blau Kruger deck. Again, at the grade 1 slot, it's pretty full. You kind of need the Blau Panzer for your ride chain. You need the Toolkit Boy. This guy is just amazing. If you put it behind your Vanguard, your Blau Kruger, you just keep on withstanding, and that means you keep on winning. And lastly, he filled his last slot. Hongwai filled his last slot here with Dancing Wolf. So if it stands, you get plus 3k. If you put it behind the Vanguard as well, and it stands, it'll just get power and kind of scale with your Blau Kruger attacks, and that's pretty interesting to see. His grade 2 slots, again, kind of full. You need Blau Kruger itself. This one's just great. And you have Eisenkugel, which is like the Blau Kruger support, the 12k. These are just great cards. Normally on a ride chain deck, you don't need to run 4, but Blau Kruger, like the card itself is actually really good. It lets you counter charge on hit. So that's always nice, and that kind of just fills up 8 slots, and you just have 5 slots that you can play with. Hongwai ran Street Bouncer, which is just a kind of a great card that allows you to just draw a card for no counter blast at all. It requires you to rest, but you just rest itself and another rear guard, and that should just do fine. The main work of the deck is just your Stone Blaukruger standing, and then his final slots here. You see, there's like, yeah, there's actually a number triple rare. It is the Cosmo Lord, but Cosmo Lord is just a kind of a beefier Death Army droid. So you don't actually need this card. Surukaiser, yes, Surukaiser is always nice, but again, not required. These cards can be easily replaced with something else, and this is just a really budget card, Death Metal Droid, that you probably will have. It's not hard to get, and it just lets you hit some nice numbers. Hits 13k, so it can just hit 11ks and 13ks without needing any boost. And finally, the big daddy of the deck, the Stone Blaukruger. This is actually the rarest card. The rarest card that is required in this deck. So it becomes 11k when you have Blaukruger, and then it can restand the entire column on counterblast 2 when you hit counterblast 2 and discard 2 cards, and then you stand the entire column. And if you have the toolkit boy behind it, then it's essentially just a counterblast 1 because it refunds 1 counterblast. It does lose Twin Drive, but basically this deck will kind of teach you the basics on Vanguard 0. It'll teach you to take risks and when to take risks, the correct way to take risks, and how to just filter through your deck, and that's how you win, because it gives you all the tools you need to win, and you just need to play the odds, kind of. So once you master this deck, you can pretty much just play any deck in Vanguard, and you will do fine. So overall, that was a great showing from Hongwai. He came 3rd, and congrats to Living Proof, who came 1st. And thanks to Vision for running that tournament. If you want to check Hongwai out, I have the link to his Twitch below. He streams there sometimes, so go support him, check him out. He is an absolute beast when it comes to playing these online games. I think he plays like 3 games at once. So yeah, he grinds ladder as well. So if you want to see him grind ladder, and he's got a very, very active stream, so just check it out, give him support, and it's just great to see him do well. Yeah, so this is pretty much the flow chart. I'm calling it the Nova Grappler filler slots. Slightly more different than the other clans that we reviewed before, because there's just, when you're building one of these, the Blaukruger deck or the Riser deck, a lot of the slots are already filled in for you, so it just kind of makes building the deck a bit easier. You just only have a few filler slots that you can fill up. But let's start off with the triple R's first. You have either a Perfect Riser or the Surukaiser as your main important grade 3s that you really want. And funnily enough, yes, they're both coming out as a reward at some point or another. I think the Perfect Riser should be coming out next season, unless they do skip it. But that just means if it doesn't get skipped, it's basically free Perfect Risers for you, and it's just going to save you a lot of money or crafting points. And then a Surukaiser as well, a great alternate grade 3 ride. Does fit in more deck builds. It'll fit in Blouse, it'll fit in your Riser, and then future-wise will probably fit in your like Death Army decks as well when it gets the cross ride. So the Surukaiser does have a bit more versatility, but it is coming up as a tournament reward as well. So it is up to you if you want to spend the crafting points for that. If you just can't wait, just go for it. Pick one. With Risers, just make sure you have pretty much nearly all of the Risers. You don't want to skimp on any grade 1 or grade 2 Riser, and the grade 2 Riser, the high-powered custom Riser will be the one that will probably be a bottleneck. But if you have like 3 perfect Risers with a full Riser complement, then that should be okay. Of course, it's always good to have 4, but if the rest of the deck, if you don't have that, if you have Blouse, yeah, just build Blouse. Stone Blaukruger is the only double R that will be hard to get. Now, when we look at the grade 1 lineups, we saw that a lot of the grade 1 lineups are pretty much full. They were just pretty much confirmed. You need 4 nulls, and there'll be like 8 support cards for the archetype of Nova Grappler you want to run. So that just basically means that you only have 1 slot left. Unless you're playing Risers, you're skimping on one of either like the Burst Riser, something like that. Then you have like 2 slots to play with, and you basically have kind of breaks down to these 3. You have Tough Boy, which is your nice AK. If it boosts to 13k, it'll hit 21, and that's just a nice number. But moving into like the cross ride meta, when things are 12 and 13k, then you might want to just fill that slot with Shout, because Shout's just a nice way to filter your hand and try and get to your nulls. Now, if you're lacking a lot of like perfect guards and all that, then going more aggressive is of course a good option, and we have Queen of Heart here. Just make sure you combo it with King of Sword, and it'll just make a nice early column for you to bash with. And again, like I said before, if if you are missing cards, then these vanillas are always a good replacement. Now, grade 2s, you have a bit more flexibility. You have brutal jacks, just run them. Maximum like 2 or 3. I think 3 is a bit excessive. I like 2. It's just when you draw it, it's just a nice 11k, but then if you draw it later and you have an extra counterblast, you can always hit that 11k Vanguard and just overall be nice. If you ride it, it's not the best to ride it. For both these decks, you do want to have a perfect ride, especially with Blouse. You always want that Blau Kruger ride at grade 2, and for rises, you just always want to ride rises because, you know, it just makes later on when you want to suck in your rises to make the 4 rises in Soul just that much easier. But if you have to ride it, then Brutal Jack is not a bad ride as well. And the other one is Street Bounce, just a counter blastless counter charge, and the 10k vanilla is just always nice to be a bit more safer. And again, if you want to play a little bit more aggressive, you can always combo with the Queen of Heart. And Transriser. Now, Transriser will definitely get played in a Riser deck, but even something like Blouse, okay? It's basically, Transriser basically just reads, it's like a possible free card. So if you like free stuff, then this works well. And here we have HERRRO. HERRRO is a bit of a more high-end option. It does have a counterblast 2 and on-hit draw, but it does combo okayly with Hungry Dumpty, countercharger, and your grade 3 Muscle Hercules, I think is what it's called. Which lets you count, which is basically the same thing as Hungry Dumpty. It just lets you counter charge as well. So this is some nice synergy here. And just again, I decided to go this route because it lets me draw into my nulls. Filler grade 3s, you know, you've got either your Perfect Riser and your Sternblau Kruger. How do you fill the rest up? Again, Asura Kaiser is your best choice, but if you don't have Asura Kaiser, then these are the other choices you have. And if you don't have either of these, then these are pretty much the other choice you have. So Gold Rutile used to be a great Vanguard for budget people. Now it's pretty much a Sternblau Kruger. But if you need that alternate ride, then he's still not bad. Death Metal Droid, again, nice card. 10k becomes 13 on counterblast 1. If you do get a Cosmo Lord, I do think the Cosmo Lord is better. The Cosmo Lord does synergize better with Risers because you can rest all your Risers and then suck them in with the Perfect Riser, and then you have a Cosmo Lord that hits decently. But if you don't have it, it's not the end of the world. Death Metal Droid is still good. Mr. Invincible, again, is also one of those okay alternate rides. So if you don't have any good grade 3s, then your grade 3 lineup will be looking like something like Mr. Invincibles and Gold Rutiles. And then Muscle Hercules, yeah, I talked about it before. It's just a nice card that countercharges. And lastly, we have Lion Heat. Lion Heat. I personally don't like Lion Heat simply because he is a 10k. He does have a counterblast 2 effect that works on Vanguard and Regard, lets you stand something on hit. Gold Rutile does have that as well, but that only works on Vanguard, so much more stuck on Vanguard. This is a bit more how do you say, versatile in that it can be on Vanguard and Regard and still get the effect, but I don't like the fact that it's 10k. And we're not really much of a stand deck, so I don't like playing it. Counterblast cost is high as well, so this kind of forces you to play some countercharge cards unless you just don't care about counterblast at all and just going aggro all in. But yeah, those are basically the filler grade 3s. If you have Asura Kaiser, pump it in. And if you have Sternblau Kruger or Perfect Riser, that is definitely going in, and then the rest of the slots, just put whatever you like from here. And that's pretty much it for Nova Grapplers. I think that rounds up all the Q4 decks. So going into the next format, Nova Grappler does get more support, but it is Azure Dragon, and Azure Dragon is just not very good, unfortunately. It's not very newbie friendly. Its effect requires a Persona Blast, which means you need more triple Rs. So I don't like it. Best Novas right now and in the near future is either Perfect Riser or Blouse, depending on what you pick. I think the Riser is better. Let you get a crit on Vanguard and let you just kind of, you know, crit Vanguard, smash face. Competes a bit better compared to the Blouse. I know we got a lot of subscribers recently and views from Different Fight, so thanks to Different Fight for telling you guys to come over and take a look. It's been great. We will be doing more. I think the next one might either do a Shadow Paladin, because, you know, Shadow Paladin is a very, very expensive deck to build, and it will, I know a lot of people love Shadow Paladin. There's edgy paladins, a lot of people like that, so probably explore that, see the budget decks for Shadow Paladins, because I don't know, it's gonna be tough getting those 12 triple Rs you need for Shadow Paladins, and they'll be moving on to the other clans like Pale Moon DI and Dimension Police, where they just got their recent release, and what do you need for the future? So it'd be like something like future proofing. All right, so that's it from me. Let me know in the comments how you liked it, what I should change, and what's good, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.